All right, 17 degrees right now. And we got that winter storm. I think it's now is it a warning yet, Raylene, or still a watch?
Just a watch so far.
Still just a watch, but we got some snow coming. It's on the way. And we're looking at anywhere, I think 5 to 8 inches, I think, is the ballpark. If I'm wrong with that, Raylene will correct me. But that's the last that I heard. Sometime Friday night into Saturday morning. I know I'm just winging the forecast here, right off of the head. Joe Aldsworth is with me this morning, along with Brooke Pouliot, who is a community outreach specialist with our great city here in Barre, Vermont. Welcome to you both. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. Brooke, you doing okay?
Doing great.
Thank you. This is your first time on Aired Out, Brooke, and I think that's pretty cool. I think this is wonderful that you're here. You guys know each other very well.
Yes.
And Brooke and I were scheduled to do a podcast today and about homelessness and about our housing issues in Central Vermont, and reached out to Joe yesterday and said, you got to come in because Joe, what's you're on? Are you on both task force for homelessness and housing, or is that kind of a dumb question?
I'm not sure how that goes. Basically, I'm assisting both committees, and I work directly with Brooke a lot around the homelessness, and we have a segment of our population that are either hard to house or just have been down on their luck and they just need a break. And that's where working with Brooke. And Brooke came into the picture about 4 years ago?
Six.
Oh, my God.
Really?
Yeah, she's been around a while. So a lot of our contacts on the ambulance, my crews, have direct with those folks. And so our job is to plug them into the system, get them the resources that they need. And Brooke generally doesn't have that direct connection. So having that here in the city is pretty unique. So we're able to get those folks and hook them into the programs. And so between myself and Brooke, we actually have a good network with the Barre Housing Authority, Turning Point, the health department, the local health office here. And so Capstone, Down Street, and the Barre Integrated Faith Group. And so we meet with them about every 2 weeks and really trying to coordinate services, and that's what it's all about. And it's been very effective. And it helps prevent a lot of our elderly from falling through the cracks, too. And those folks tend to have issues as they get older that we're able to help. So it's really a multifaceted deal, and Brooke is a wealth of knowledge to help out. And
Brooke, what are these meetings like when you get together with some of our interfaith groups? And I'm guessing there's a few people there.
Yes. So probably like 10-ish maybe, and I mean we all go through updates of like housing and food. And when the churches were doing like community meals, like updates of schedules, how many meals they're serving. And then sometimes we just talk about cases or just different things that are going on.
Yeah. It's an issue, not only here in Barre, but all of Central Vermont, and probably even more so with this pandemic. Maybe not even probably more so, but definitely more so. I think you both would agree.
Definitely.
I think it was here prior to that. I mean, we were active in that. The Integrated Faith Group has been, it was formed quite some time ago, but we rejuvenated it and got it going again. And actually, today's warming center at the library is from that effort, and that's a fruition to that point. So now we have a firm location with the staffing that helps to get those folks the resources. Hey, do you need help filling out an application? Do you need to go this, or do you need an ID and stuff like that? Those folks can help that. So that was a fruition from where we were with the Interfaith Group.
And that did come out of the housing task force as well, because they had to, in order to have someone staff it, we had to get permission from the city council. So that's how we got Tammy Menard, and it's from 8 to 11 Monday through Saturday, I believe. So, but it's just a great addition. And they told me that, like, so far there's like 10 people, give or take, like a day or throughout, and they will like check in about resources, or maybe just if they had to sleep outside the night before, just to get warm. So
that was something that you got involved with. That's the homelessness task force.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And that consists of some city council members.
Yes. Erica Riel and Teddy Wozniak.
Yes. That was, hey! That was good. That was good. Yeah, and a few others too, right?
Yes, maybe.
Okay.
I feel like those are our main two.
I think Chip Castle was just appointed to that.
I think I have not seen him in any of our meetings so far.
Newest member.
Oh, okay.
Think, yeah.
So we haven't had a meeting since then.
This is maybe something that should have been started a long time ago. I don't know. You got any thoughts on that?
I feel like because it's highlighted now, and I feel like there's so many resources. Like,
sure.
I used to work in St. Albans, so to come from St. Albans down to here, this community has 1,000,001 resources.
Yeah.
But to get everybody to work together and just kind of know where, like, each person can fit or whatever, then that's, yeah. So it's huge. So I think it's focused.
I think having the resources is important, but it's also that point of contact, that one person that can put you into that direction. And that's where Brooke comes into play. Susan Lemire, who's the mental health clinician for the city, we share with Montpelier and Barre. Those folks there are really the tip of the sword when it comes to it. And so we've put together quite the group of folks that when we are confronted with somebody that either is homeless or is having issues or appears to be slipping through the cracks, we plug them into that team, and it's an email group that we put through, and we connect them through, and we say, okay, we brainstorm, and we figure out, okay, what's the best for this folks? Are they a veteran? How long are they from out of the area? What's their age? If
there's family.
There's their family. We try to reconnect it with that way. So it really is a multifaceted effort, and it's kind of unique to this area because not a lot of fire departments have this connection with their team like that. They haven't created a team, so
yeah.
It's unique, and it's very beneficial because, one, it's good for the person or the individual or the family. We've dealt with families too.
Yeah.
It prevents them for further slippage, but it gives them stability. And then it allows the systems that are already in place to take over.
Just to see the things that you guys see is, I'm so naive to it, and frankly, so sheltered from it. I mean, I can't imagine finding someone who's living in their car during the winter. I mean, that just baffles me. But you both have seen that?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Or, I mean, to even flip it to a harder thing that I struggle with at times is that, like, when the hotels are full or the shelters are full and you have to tell a person, sorry, there's nothing we can do, and that just kills the soul a little, because you think how would you like someone saying that to your family member? Or you would hope they could do, and we do everything we can,
sure,
to get people placed and to get them housed and find them shelter, but at the same time,
and Good Samaritan Haven is what's the deal there? I mean, it's
well, they're maxed out.
Yeah, they're maxed out.
Those folks are doing the lion's share of it all, and they really are the unsung heroes of the area. But there's only so much they can do, and so by coordinating with the clergy, coordinating with a Capstone and Down Street and those and Barre Housing. I mean, it really helps each other, and it really it's the betterment of our community and the person that we're dealing with. So those losses, I hate to say that, are very few and far between, because we're able to jump on it, and usually within 6 to 8 hours, we can really secure some stability for that person.
Yeah, potentially save their life. I mean, we all know that this has been a particularly cold winter. I don't recall the January thaw. Maybe we did get it, and I wasn't awake during it. But I mean, it's just been a really one snap after another so far this winter.
Someone had told me today that we had 21 days more than, so we usually have 5 days of below zero.
Yeah. And
we've had 21 in January. So it's been brutal.
It has. Now, when it comes to housing, the housing task force, that's something that came to fruition out of the All In for Barre forum that we had this past summer. Am I right?
Yes.
Are you both on that, on the housing task force?
So Brooke is the sitting member.
Yes.
I'm going in 5 different directions, as you know, and so
I'd say more than 5.
We agreed that she would keep me up to
Yes.
she would keep me up to date, and I would help out any way I can. But I'll let Brooke touch on that.
Yeah. How has that been?
It's good. It's complicated because I feel like there's no quick solutions. And so we're talking about different zonings, and we're talking about vacant houses or abandoned houses, which is 2 totally different things, which I did not know until I joined this task force. And just different real estate that could be available for housing, and how do landlords access that, and how do they learn about the resources that are in the community.
Yeah.
So
what kind of numbers do you have for us? What kind of statistics do you have
for the homelessness?
Either one.
Okay, homelessness.
Because these are totally related here.
Yes,
totally.
Because for numbers, I reached out to everybody yesterday, and like I said, the warming shelter has had 10 people circulating through. The Overflow Church at Christ Church has had 53 people pass through of 221. The hotels are full, and as of 2/14, 398 there were 398 homeless people in the motels, unsheltered or sheltered. So, and there's one person that has been identified in Barre as having no shelter. So,
wow.
Yeah.
And as you guys know, there's a whole string of complicating factors that can come into play here, from mental health to drug usage to God knows what. All of these stories, all of these individuals have a different story. In some way, maybe some similarities, but everybody's got a different story. And some people prefer to be homeless, even during the winter.
Yes.
They know how to survive. They know what to do. Yep. They want to be left alone.
And they do, and they know how to do it. And also so if they don't want to be around people, then placing them in a hotel because it's shelter and it's warm and keeping them safe, that may not be the ideal situation.
That's right.
For them. And I mean, these are people that everyone's individual, and you can't just force people to go wherever you want them to go. They have their own minds and their freedoms.
Yeah,
so,
right. Of course, they know what works for them, and they're accustomed to it.
Yeah, and those folks, they generally stay to themselves, and they're really not the problems. They only reach out when they need something.
Yeah,
and so part of the task force and part of the interfaith faith group is that they get them what they need. They facilitate. So if they need a new sleeping bag, or if they need to wash their sleeping bag, or if they need to take a shower. That's what that they're trying to facilitate, that type of assistance, you know. And if those folks need some, you know, mental health, or they need somebody just to chat with, or they need some, you know, anything.
Invite them to the warming shelter in the library.
Yep.
Yes.
Get them indoors where they may be able to think more clearly. Are they serving up like hot coffee over there at all, or anything, or is it just?
I don't honestly know.
Okay.
Sorry.
Just a place to get out of the wind and out of the cold.
Yep.
And
they get a sensitive ear that they can talk to, or,
and present them with some resources.
You know, if they have an issue, they can bring it up, and then that person generally can say, "Well, I've got this. We can get you an ID," or "Hey, there's a lunch. Here you go, and this is what you can get."
And Tammy Menard is such a force and knows so much information about resources and how to access them.
And what's Tammy's position again?
She is the warming shelter coordinator.
Okay.
I'm not used to titles and last names.
I have to give a shout out to Lauren too, because
Yes.
the library, this wouldn't be able to happen, and even before we had this,
Lauren Polk?
yeah, she's top notch, you know, and she's stepped forward, and she's really made the facility and the location available, and she's been. So I have to give a huge shout out. We have a library and a librarian that is probably second to none that I've ever met. And I'm no nerdy guy either, but I can tell you that she's the one that stepped forward and she took it ahead. So I got to give her a good shout out.
And she's at all of our task force meetings as well. Like, she's been so super involved because, I mean, realistically, the library sees a lot of homeless people because even in the summer, it's a place where you can cool down or get Wi-Fi.
Absolutely.
Or
plug in your phone or whatever.
Yes.
398 was the number you gave me, Brooke, that of individuals who are, as of the 14th of this month, are in area hotels, which
or the shelters, or it's just the total number.
Okay. But the hotels are full.
Absolutely full. And even when people reach out to economic services or 211, they're a really good chance that they're not going to be able to find a hotel for someone in White River Junction or up in Chittenden County. And then it's always also like, if by some lucky chance you do, like, what if it's a family that then their kid has to figure out how to get to school each day? Like, there's just so many complicating factors, and even just transportation then to and from the place at whatever time, because it's not always 9 to 5. It's whenever. So
let's go up a few more 1,000 feet here. What do each of you are doing with our legislature? Are you in touch with our governor? Are you providing stats? Are you giving information? I know there's been a lot of chat about our hotels reaching capacity all over the state with our homeless. How much of an engagement do you have with the Vermont legislature?
I mean, they reach out a lot. A lot of the stuff that came from the pandemic and a transition into endemic status.
Yeah.
The hotels are starting to take back and prepare for their seasonal and their travelers. And so part of that is the reduction in the available hotel rooms.
Right.
And that's something that they knew was going to happen anyways.
Yeah.
So they're really looking for, okay, once they get them into that situation, how do we plug them into the system, get them stability, get them a home, and get the services that they need. So they're really trying, that number fluctuates. So as soon as those folks get in there, they're assessed, they're given some assistance, and then they're plugged into, you know, economic services, which then puts them into, okay, the housing voucher, which comes into Barre Housing and Down Street, Capstone comes into play, and so those, it's really not here, I'm just going to drop you off here and that's it. No, they follow up, and that was one thing that the governor wanted is, okay, how do we solve this? And so that's why you see the new facility going on in Vermont Pouliot Road. There's quite a few different treatment care centers that are happening.
Where's that? Where is that?
The old hotel across from Sears.
Okay. Yep.
Yep. So they're really rejuvenating. They've really gutted that and started over. But that's going to be transitional housing for the homeless, and that's Good Samaritan spearheading that. So, and there's other multiple. They had a issue with single mothers that had no place to live, and a recovery house for those folks. And so we've created that through the task force and planted those seeds in conjunction with the Department of Health. So Will Eberly, he is the district manager for Barre and Morrisville, and he's like on speed dial a lot of times. I'm telling you, we shoot him a text, and if Brooke and I are looking at somebody that's like, "Why? What are we scratching our head about?" Will's usually our go-to guy to get that rolling, and he's pretty good at pulling a rabbit out of the hat. And he's got a lot of rabbits, but
wow.
So he's phenomenal.
But those are the people that we engage for that. So we're not directly with the legislatures and governor's office, but everything that we've been doing here in Barre directly affects them. I mean, crisis intervention teams, treatment court.
Yes.
Both Brooke and I sit on treatment court.
Yes.
The crisis intervention team they just got a $3 million grant to implement into the area. They're working on that. Dr. Detman's been on your program. And so we're asked to sit on many of those boards.
Central Vermont Prevention Coalition.
Yeah. Yep.
The SHARPS program that we created here in Barre, well, that's gone statewide. And so...
You spearheaded that, brother.
Yeah.
He did.
We had to do something about it, and
cool.
we did it, and we fixed it. And,
wow.
With the support of Mayor Herring and, Chief Bombardier, we took off on it, and we solved that problem. But now... Stowe implemented a version of it. I have to go to St. Johnsbury next month to talk in a community forum for that. So that's the type of stuff that we do here in Barre that a lot of people don't understand, that that's what's going on, and that's a big part of Brooke's job is to make it happen and plug it in. And so,
and I feel like sometimes people, because anyone can reach out to me, and pretty much I feel like most of Barre, if not all, has my phone number. So they can reach out and be like, "Oh, Brooke, we saw this person walking on the street, just kind of concerned for them, blah, blah, blah." Or there are other times where they're like, "Well, we think there's this homeless person. Could you just reach out?" And sometimes, people expect me to be able to snap my fingers and okay, everybody's home and, or housed, and it just doesn't work that way. I can always get the ball rolling and be a support to that person until they don't need me anymore. But it's a process at the same time.
It's great that we have people like Dan Moland in our community as well. I mean, what he's doing over there at the church is just amazing. Had him on the podcast not too long ago. It's just remarkable. What an incredible human being.
The Wests are other folks that really needs a big shout out. At the Salvation Army.
Yeah.
Without folks like them, we wouldn't be able to even start tapping into some of the resources, and a lot of it's volunteerism.
Yeah.
A lot of it's donations that people don't understand. And
we have, Cody Morrison from Barre Area Development is on with me once a week at least. And one of the things that we've talked about is how the structure of the family is changing from a housing standpoint. We've got more and more people moving in together. We've got homes that are fuller, and folks having their moms and dads move in with them, or their cousins or whatever. The dynamic of the family seems to be changing during this pandemic. One of the questions I have for you is let's just talk about the elderly now. Let's shift gears. The elderly, many of which are living in older homes that maybe aren't as tight. We've had these cold snaps. What do we do? How do we check in with them? Obviously, it has to, I would guess, begin on the level of having neighbors with their eyes and ears open and being aware and checking in first. It should really begin there. But are you seeing more and more calls coming in of this particular lady or this guy seems cut off? We haven't seen him in a long time. We're not sure if he's getting out, doing grocery shopping, getting his medications, what have you. Can you do like a wellness check?
A lot of that does occur, and we do jump on that type of stuff. And another one of the partners, and I'm going to give a shout out, Sandy Rouse of Central Vermont Home Health and Hospice. Touche to those folks. They really jump in, and probably at least twice a week we get a report of somebody that's failure. We call it failure to thrive.
Yeah.
But those elderly that have slipped through the cracks, or there's no family and they've been living by themselves, and a lot of times the ambulance will go, and my guys and gals are great. They'll to say, hey chief, this one's on your radar, and what I'll do is I'll take that email and I'll plug it into our group, and we'll start brainstorming from the get-go. And sometimes Brooke will do a knock and talk and say, hey, how you doing? And there's a lot of times that Brooke and I will tag team because those folks don't want any assistance, or they're really and a couple times we've spent 4 or 5 hours,
if not more,
to convince them to go, and then they end up, finally either they just say, all right, I'm sick of hearing you, or they're good to go, and and then we get them into the what they need, and we have a lot of family members that say thank you, that they weren't aware. That from out of state. And, and so we share that with Mayor Herring and the chiefs and everything else to say, hey, listen, they're appreciative. And the goal is one, never to just rip somebody out of their house. Those old folks, they've built their castle and they've been there and they earned the right.
That's right.
How do we get them the assistance? And so teaming up with home health and even to get a clergy member. Hey, they love to go and knock and talk to those folks. Or hey, you want to come to a service? They'll arrange for a ride for that.
Meals on Wheels.
Meals on Wheels.
Yes.
We'll plug them into that, and the SASH coordinators and the housing authorities. I'll tell you, those ladies,
they're phenomenal.
Yeah, they know their people, and they click with them. And sometimes they, just like brothers and sisters, they butt heads. But you know what? They know, and so we work with those folks to try to, one, keep them in their home or get them to the services. A lot of times those folks will find they just need to go to the next level, and they don't know how to get there.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of it is nursing care, nursing home, skilled nursing care, and so that's when we work with our home health and hospice, when we work with the nursing homes to get them plugged in.
Yeah.
And so we
and Upper Valley Services has this program, Comforts of Home, which is just amazing. It's just amazing.
Yeah. And we worked with Project Independence, and it was really a big loss for this area.
Huge. I was going to mention that today. Huge loss.
And unfortunately, they just couldn't continue. But that was a lot. That was a saving grace for some of those seniors that could not get out.
Amen.
And so those are the programs we try to plug them into. And once we get on the other side of the pandemic into the endemic status, and they'll be open in the community rooms, and they'll get things going again in the housing authorities. And it's just been very hard. But connecting them into services, or trying to get them their vaccine or their booster, or here are some masks, and that was the stuff that we done. And I'm just trying to recap everything, because you'd be surprised at what we do every
Yes.
I'm sure.
just comes across the desk.
Sure.
There was like one gentleman that he had his license suspended, and he had gotten pulled over multiple times, but he wanted to just go see his wife up in the nursing home.
I've been down this road with my parents.
Yeah.
Very hard.
And it's just like helping them, like, okay, so how can we make it so you can still see each other, but you're not driving illegally anymore? It's
Sure. Yeah.
It's just,
A lot of time our lives are so busy that we forget about our elderly parents and stuff like that. And until either they get the phone call from Deputy Chief Aldsworth to say, hey, Mom's not doing well. You need to get your. Then they get engaged in it. They're very thankful because they forget about that. And that's the biggest thing is that if families just please don't forget about them.
Yeah.
Check in, make the effort, because if you let them slip through the cracks, it becomes a bigger problem.
And don't assume that no news is good news, because that's often not the case.
And parents are good at covering that stuff up too, because they want to maintain their independence.
Absolutely.
So they're like, "Yep, we ate yesterday," and you know, like whatever. But they want to. So, and they sometimes don't want to burden their kids. But I feel like we just need to be a little bit more pushier and follow through.
But we also see a direct correlation with the impact to emergency services here in the city.
Joe, just come a little closer to your mic.
Sorry. Yeah. We've seen a direct impact in reduction to emergency services usage in the city. So those folks that may become a frequent flyer, or that they just sometimes just needed the contact with somebody, you know, and they're like, oh, I love my EMTs or whatever, you know, and they check in because we care.
Yes.
A lot of times they'll just call and just say, oh, can you check my blood pressure and everything else? Well, that reduces our ability to respond to an emergencies, and it actually impacts us. So, or they just go up to the hospital because they like the nurses and they get the good meal and stuff like that. So by plugging them into the services, getting them their contact, and reaching out to them, it reduces our contact. And that includes mental health, too, because when we deal with somebody on a regular basis, or somebody is in a substance abuse situation, we can plug them into a treatment mode and, you know, and get them the help that they need. That reduces our call volume. And we've seen that significantly here in the city, is that the positive side of this is, one, it increases the wellness of the people and you know, a better quality of life, and also it decreases our contacts with ambulance and police department. And we've seen that with our guys. Yes. So, and Brooke sees that with the police department all the time.
All the time.
So.
And that's why when Chief Bombardier created the position 3 years before I started, but like when I came on, he said, like, this is for the high flyers that aren't necessarily like criminally involved or whatever. Like, that's where we're going to push you and hopefully connect them to the services so that they're not reaching out to the police when that's not the right starting point for them.
Wow.
So...
But you're still a police officer.
No, I'm not a police officer.
Not a police officer.
Not a police officer.
Nope.
Wow. I thought you were.
No.
Could
you picture me?
Community outreach specialist.
We're not going to give her a taser. All right.
You don't know. You don't know. I don't know. I mean,
well, no. And I'm always very clear that I'm not a police officer. It's just me, my notebook, and my phone bopping around the
So it's like social work.
Yep. That's what I just always, when I introduce myself to people, I just say it's fancy for social worker. And I'm just Brooke. Just call me Brooke.
Yeah. I was going to say, because the earrings would have to go. You know.
Well, I feel like a lot more than, I mean,
The packing. Anyway. What's going on with our senior center? Do we still have, because the loss of Project Independence, but we still have our senior center, yes?
Yep. I spoke to Jack Mitchell a few weeks back. They're gearing up to reopen full time, and they're working their board. They're actually buying a defibrillator. They were talking to me about that. So they're really trying to get re-engaged on that. So I think you'll find that as soon as we get on the other side and the governor loosens up a little bit, that's a huge service generated for folks too. And unsung heroes. There's a lot of them.
Sure.
The community's full of them.
We're trying to find them. We want to give them a microphone. We want folks to share their story. That's why we do this podcast. Brooke, how did you get into this? How did you get tangled up into this whole thing?
Into social work or Barre?
Well, as a community outreach specialist, what happened?
Chief Bombardier, because up until this position, I had always worked with children. Okay. In my last position, I was a balance and restorative justice case manager up in St. Albans. So I worked with high-risk kiddos and kids that were on probation. And I had known retired Chief Bombardier socially. And he's like, why don't you just come work for me? You seem like you really care about people. And it took me a little while to give up because that's been my whole career is kiddos, whether it was working at DCF over in New York or working at the Barre Center. I've always been a kiddo. So working with adults, it's different, 100% different.
I would guess so. So when did Bomber call you? What was that? How many years ago?
Well, originally it was 9, and then I wasn't ready to give that up yet.
Yeah.
And then, so I've been down here since, 6 years, like a little over 6.
Okay.
And I love it. Like, it's fun. It's challenging.
I
never know what's going to happen.
That's right. I was going to ask you, what's a typical day like?
There is no typical day. I mean, we could be just like doing this and my phone can go off like 500 million times. And then I'm just making phone calls or reaching out to people. Or, I mean, even the other night, just sitting at home with my dog and the dispatch calls me and they're like, hey, we got this person. So...
And you can't say I'm punched out right now?
Not really. I try to take vacations, but and because my husband, I mean, he's very, very understanding. However, I mean, it's just me and what I care about as well. So there have been times where if we were on vacation down in the Cape, I've actually called, like a client called me because my phone is just my phone. I don't have a personal and a work. I just have a phone. So I've actually called from the beach and said, hey, can you go do a wellness check on this person? They're like, where are you? Aren't you gone? I'm like, yeah, I answered my phone. So, but I mean, I do take like little shots of time here and there because I just need to recharge the battery sometimes.
Of course. If there were 2 Brooke Pouliots, would they both be busy?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because there's just so much. And then there's like so many different ways of like interacting with people. And it's just me. So I can only, like when I'm being asked to be part of task force and that, and I appreciate them and they're needed. And just like this is needed for awareness. But like but then there's also so many people that need, and the only requirement mainly, which I've kind of wiggled around a few times, is that someone has to be a resident of the city of Barre.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the only requirement for me to work with them. So like, doesn't matter age, anything. So
of course.
Yeah.
Can you imagine all the people outside of Barre city limits that could use help like this?
Yes.
Well, and there's a lot, and a lot of people ask, and I go to different conferences and trainings and stuff like that, and it comes up. And a lot of these communities are like, wow, you guys really have this? And you don't really get to feel fortunate until you hear that when those folks don't have what we have here. And, sometimes we take it for granted. People are looking at, we're going to drill down on the budget, and what do we cut next?
Yeah,
and to be honest with you, I've been a huge advocate of retaining Brooke and her services.
Absolutely.
Because, I don't know what I would be able to. I don't have enough hours in the day to do it. There's no second shift, Joe. There's no second shift, Brooke.
No.
I mean, it doesn't happen.
Any discussions of bringing another on into budget?
There's always discussions. I mean, they brought it into the legislature, but we really I feel that our mental health clinician, we need to duplicate her and get her help because she has been a godsend. I tell you, that is money well spent between Brooke and Susan. Well spent here in the city, and it makes it a lot easier for the first responders and the community to engage and get those folks there. So, and now we have families reaching out, or they'll call the PD, and really they're going to need their own offices here pretty quick because it's that point.
Sure.
But I mean,
Susan. Oh, sorry.
No, go
I was just, when she started, I mean, it was like right in the middle of the pandemic, and she just jumped in both feet, and she has been nonstop since. And we split her with Montpelier Police as well. But she's just so phenomenal and just so like, there's just so many stories that when I'm with her, I just kind of look and I was like, wow, that's incredible that you know that. I mean, when we were going around to hotels, there was a person that signed. And I mean, I don't know sign language. And the detective we were with did not know. Susan just started and we're like, okay. Like, it was so, she's amazing and so knowledgeable. And she's willing to always step up and help.
And you know, I mean, she's a Washington County mental health employee. The grant tasks her to work here in the city and in Montpelier. Montpelier just put in for a second full-time position, and they're going to benefit well from that, you know. And unfortunately, we are more focused at a residential care situation with our mental health system, and that outreach and that really needs to fall into place, and that helps in the long run. So,
Brooke, you did a fine job in the podcast today.
Thank you. And thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming in here. Joe, how do you think she did?
You know, you're almost there.
I know you're sitting next to me. You see
that? We'll be all set, you know. And
I only hit the microphone twice.
Yeah. Well, next time you're together, just stab him with your pen. And that'll get him to stop talking so that you can get a word in.
This was perfect for me.
Yeah.
As soon as we go dark, she's going to back in me. So that's
no, I will not.
Our sponsors are right in front of you, right there, which we appreciate so much, making this all possible, bringing you this podcast live from 185 North Main Street, right in the heart of the Granite City in Barre, Vermont, at the ASB Financial Studios. Appreciate your eyes and your ears, and thanks to Brooke Pouliot and Joe Aldsworth, right here from our city, coming in and talking about homelessness and housing in the Granite City. Thanks so much for watching the show today. Make sure to post up your comments, tell your friends, follow the page, give us a like, do share away, and again, we look forward to more comments coming in here. Thanks again.